So we know that the Baltimore Ravens just signed the star running back in Derrick Henry, but they're not done yet. Multiple reports now confirming that the Ravens have reached out on the availability of the star wide receiver Deebo Samuel on the San Francisco 49ers, plus some buzz, some rumors about some interest in Mike Williams, who the Chargers just released, the big body. And the Baltimore Ravens' actual actions could be lining up with some of these reports because they just traded their right tackle in Morgan Moses to create some salary cap space. We also got the restructure of left tackle Ronnie Stanley to create salary cap, and the release of Tyus Bowser as the Baltimore Ravens continue to build this roster in 2024. So welcome in to another episode of Ravens Reports. It's your guy Noah here with For the Flock. As always, bringing you guys our top 5 news reports and storylines coming out of our Baltimore Ravens today. Wide receiver talk, trades, restructures, update on the salary cap, and much more. So let's go ahead and dive in. At number 1, it's reported from Jason Lockenfor, among others, that the Baltimore Ravens have reached out to San Francisco for a possible trade for wide receiver Deebo Samuel. And here's a reminder of what Deebo Samuel had to say about Lamar Jackson, about how he feels about the quarterback Lamar Jackson.
Man, that man is playing out this world right now. Like real talented, strong arm, like can play the game. Like Lamar is a guy. Like he has everything that you look for, and like just looking at him like week in and week out, like he always doing something amazing. It's just like shows how good he is at the game.
And Marcus Spears said it best, man. Deebo is just meant to be a Raven. That physicality, hard-nosed, tackle-breaking. Man, he's an all-around wide receiver. He can do it all. He can run routes. He can get open deep, yards after a catch, breaking tackles. But it's just like that real hard-nosed mentality, man. He even lines up at running back at times. That would fit here in Baltimore. Just imagine Deebo Samuel, Derrick Henry, Mark Andrews, and some of these other hungry dogs on the same offense, just bringing that nasty bully mentality. I would absolutely love it. But I don't think that the Ravens would be reaching out to the San Francisco 49ers about the availability of Deebo Samuel if there wasn't an actual pursuit, if there wasn't actual smoke around this fire that the Ravens could be pursuing another wide receiver, not just anyone, but a talented guy. Because don't forget, the Ravens are losing Odell Beckham Jr., who took a good amount of snaps, had 500 receiving yards, likely will be released within the next 12 hours. Maybe by the time you're watching this video, maybe he'll already be released. It's reported that if they don't release him in the next 12 hours, he'll have a $50 million cap hit that guarantees for 2025. So I can almost guarantee you the Ravens will be releasing Odell Beckham Jr. But also at number 2, to create some salary cap space as well, the Ravens have just traded their right tackle in Morgan Moses to the Jets. And essentially what they did is they traded Moses to relieve some salary cap. They swapped 4th-round picks and sent a 6th-round pick as well. So essentially the Ravens gave a 6th-round draft pick in Morgan Moses to move up about 22 spots in the 4th round, which is actually pretty significant. Picking on the back end of the 4th round versus the front end of the 4th round is closer to that, round 3 pick. Those guys have big-time impact. A lot of times we saw it with Brandon Stevens, Justin Madubuike, and other players who the Ravens have gotten that 3rd, 4th round range. And they move up 22 spots. They relieve some salary cap. And Morgan Moses gets to go back to his former team in the Jets and go protect for Aaron Rodgers. So it's kind of a win-win-win for everyone here. It's a beneficial trade. The Ravens pick up some salary cap. The reason I do think that another kind of high-caliber wide receiver could be in the mix for the Baltimore Ravens is that I likely think that a lot of these early draft picks for the Ravens this year is going to be spent on that offensive line retooling. You now have a hole at right tackle, right guard, and left guard, and you probably also want some more depth at left tackle as well. So if you're spending your 1st-round pick and or maybe a 2nd-round pick on offensive linemen and you want another impact player, another difference maker at wide receiver, maybe that guy is available via trade or in free agency now that, Mike Williams and some other guys are still out there and available. And it's very apparent under Eric DeCosta's tenure here with the Ravens, he prioritizes the wide receiver position more so than Ozzie Newsome did when he was a general manager. And you can see that because Eric DeCosta's first ever draft pick was Hollywood Brown. He also drafted Rashad Bateman in the first round. Then he drafted Zay Flowers in the first round. And he spent $18 million last year on Odell Beckham Jr. So you can't tell me with his draft picks and the way he spent money in free agency that he doesn't highly value the wide receiver position. And if you can remember last year, the Ravens were in trade talks for Cortland Sutton of the Denver Broncos as they were trying to bring in Sutton. So I would not rule out some type of trade here or free agent signing for a decent to high-tier guy at the wide receiver position. And by the way, here's an estimated look at the updated cap numbers from Brian McFarland, who's the salary cap guru. And you got to go check out his work on Twitter. But Brian McFarland says that the Ravens could be sitting around $8 to $10 million in cap space now. Oh, and literally as I'm recording this, the Ravens have just re-signed defensive lineman Brent Urban to a deal. So nice move there because Brent Urban played some good football for the Ravens this last season and provides excellent depth and veteran presence there at the position. The defensive line is now looking like Brent Urban, Michael Pierce, Justin Madubuike, Travis Jones. So looking like you're in a pretty good spot right now at the defensive line position. And don't forget about Broderick Washington as well, who the Ravens signed to an extension during this last training camp. At number 3, another salary cap saving move. The Ravens have officially released outside linebacker Tyus Bowser, saving $5.5 million on this year's salary cap. Now, Tyus Bowser, the writing has been on the wall for this move for a while because he didn't play a single snap for the Ravens this last year, despite the Ravens paying him around $7 or $8 million last season. Plus, it was just a really weird situation where they kept asking, when is Tyus going to be back? And it was like soon. Then it was just like, I don't know. And then it just never happened. So if you're looking at the biggest holes on this roster right now, it's probably at offensive line. Definitely. There's 3 starting spots there to be filled. And edge position right now that you don't have Tyus Bowser returning. Jadeveon Clowney and Kyle Van Noy are both free agents as of right now. There's a possibility the Ravens could bring one or both of those guys back. But the 2 biggest spots right now on the roster that I would say need addressed is offensive line and edge position. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. At number 4, again, another salary cap move. The Ravens have restructured Ronnie Stanley. I don't know all the details of it yet. It looks like they reduced his base salary this season and then also added on some incentives. So I think from what I understand so far is that he took a pay cut and restructured his contract, not necessarily extending it, but restructuring it to where the base salary was lower and then adding in incentives if he hits certain wickets. And I think that's fair because, Ronnie Stanley, the reality is his performance has not been the $22 million or $18 million salary cap that it was about to be on this year's salary cap. So glad that Ronnie and the Ravens figured that out, that they still have a competent left tackle, and hopefully he stays healthy because I think if he stays healthy, strengthens up, works on his strength and mobility in the offseason, he could get closer to what, the 2020, 2019 Ronnie Stanley was, where he was just locking down guys, protecting Lamar Jackson's blind side. At number 5, there's some reports and a lot of talk among the fan base and some interest in wide receiver Mike Williams, who the Chargers just released, saving them $20 million on their salary cap. And his biggest issue throughout his career has been health and injury history. So this last year in 2023, he was banged up most of the year. He had 19 receptions for 250 yards and a touchdown. But in the years prior to that, the 4 years prior, it was a lot of production, a lot of big-time plays, 895 yards, 1146, 756, and 1001. So he has 2 1,000-yard seasons under his belt and 3 seasons over 600 yards under his belt, and then 2 seasons that was essentially a wash from injury. So this could be a high-risk, high-reward type of signing if you're getting the healthy version of Mike Williams that is that downfield vertical threat, jump ball, red zone guy who can make plays, make the big plays. That's the high-reward part. But the high-risk part is you pay this guy a decent amount of money, and then he doesn't step onto the field for you because he's rehabbing injuries. But reminder, Mike Williams he can play football when he's healthy. I mean, he was the 7th overall pick in the 2017 draft, so a top 10 draft pick, 2 1,000-yard seasons, like we said, and he's 29 years old. So he's not over the dreaded 30, 31-year-old wide receiver age that everyone talks about. Despite guys being able to play into their early 30s, he's only 29 years old. He could be a difference maker. I haven't watched enough of his film recently or even Chargers games to have a really heavy input on whether or not I think the Ravens should pursue this or not. So let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section below. And if you guys enjoyed today's content, man, make sure to leave the video a like. I would truly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and notification bell. I think as we speak, we're about 5 subscribers away from 39,000. So help us go ahead and get there, man. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I can't wait to see what the Ravens continue to do in free agency. Maybe some trades could be happening here. We already had one today with the Ravens trading Morgan Moses. Plus, we got the draft right around the corner, so I'm really excited for the Ravens the rest of the offseason. So thank you all for tuning in. I love you guys, appreciate you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.
When he wasn't looking, he ran me over.